Alex Jones is under attack. Therefore, I am under attack, and you are under attack, and free speech is under attack. And our nation as we understand it is in great peril. I'm Randall Terry. This is Voice of Resistance. Welcome to the program, friend. InfoWars. InfoWars is a massive website with millions of viewers run by Alex Jones. I believe he's 44 years old, and he is a very conservative man and has a penchant at times for conspiracy theories, not all of which I agree with, very simply put. And I don't know anybody who agrees with all of them. And some of them have turned out to not be true, and he said, yeah, that wasn't true. That's not the issue. Alex Jones is an easy target. Now, for those of you who don't know what's going on, Alex Jones is on Facebook, YouTube, Google, iTunes, Twitter, Instagram. And one by one, these giants are either canceling him or they are taking down massive amounts of his data. And this has all happened within the last 5 days. If you do a search engine look in the news about Alex Jones, you will find out exactly what I'm talking about. Now, Alex Jones is an easy target because he is bombastic, he is incendiary, he is aggressive, he is to communications what Donald Trump often has been, not completely, but often has been to politics. And therefore, he's hated. He is hated. He exposes Islam for what it is, without fear, without compromise. And because of that, he has been targeted. And there have been people, activists, that are God haters, left-wingers, liberals, communists, socialists, who want Alex Jones gone. And they don't value free speech. You have to understand this. And that's why I said that he's under attack, therefore I'm under attack, and you're under attack, and our nation is in great peril. Now let me back up for a minute. The First Amendment says, I'm going to quote it as best I can, it says, Congress shall make no law as to the establishment of a religion, nor prohibiting the free exercise thereof, nor abridging the freedom of speech, of the press, of the right of the people to peaceful assembly, and of redress of grievances to their government. That was a paraphrase, but those are the 5 elements. Freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of the press, freedom of assembly, we get to get together in big groups, and the right to petition the government. In the next segment, we're going to play a video for you from a college, from Columbia University, in fact. But that amendment, there are certain things that are the heart and soul of America. That amendment, the Second Amendment, which is the right to keep and bear arms, and the Fourth Amendment, which is the right for us to be secure in our personal effects, our correspondence, our letters, without the government taking them or spying on us. Those amendments that are part of the Bill of Rights, that is at the core of what this experiment in self-government means. We are a free people. We can say what we want. We can vote for who we want. We can read what we want. We can practice the religion that we want or practice no religion at all. And we don't live in fear of our government spying on us. And we know that we have the Second Amendment to protect ourselves, the right to keep and bear arms. We have the right to keep and bear arms from criminals, but also, ultimately, the Second Amendment was there to protect us from a tyrannical government. Now, in this hour, at this moment, all of these, to one degree or another, all of these amendments are under a full attack. There are people who want to take away our Second Amendment right. And you've heard it said, the Second Amendment guarantees the First. The government has been spying on us for years now, collecting untold amounts of personal data. There are people on the Supreme Court that have just made violent encroachments against the freedom of religion, compelling religious people to do things that are sins against God. Now, it's important that we understand concerning the First Amendment and freedom of speech. It's important to remember that Facebook, Google, Apple, they are private companies. And herein lies the rub, and we're going to talk about it when I come back. But in a nutshell, I don't want someone telling me what to say on this show. I don't want somebody compelling the Walk TV, the network that carries our program. I don't want somebody compelling the Walk TV to carry something that's anti-Christian or that would be against our values. Because this is a private company. And it would be just as evil to compel speech as it would be to suppress speech. So I understand that Google and Facebook and all these people, they are not the government. They are not required by law to allow free speech. Having said that, we have to understand what is at stake. And I'll talk about that when we come back. Please don't go away. Warrior Guitars. Without question, the best guitar I've ever played, heard, or seen is a Warrior. The owner of Warrior, Jay Drand, has an incredible testimony of redemption and healing. God gave him the vision to start Warrior Guitars and a passion to make the best guitars in the world. They only make about 120 guitars a year, each one by hand. Maybe one of them could be yours, or a once-in-a-lifetime gift for someone you love.
The one thing that I can tell you is this is the most finely crafted guitar I have ever held. I've played a lot of guitars, I own a lot of guitars, and although the quality is exceptional on all of them, this is by far the most finely crafted instrument I own or have ever played. And I'm glad I own it.
Contact my friends at Warrior Guitar. Tell them Randall Terry sent you. Hate speech. That is the new buzzword. I'm smiling because of a joke I told years ago, and it's good. It's really good. In fact, I'm going to tell it to you now. Let a wave of hatred wash over you. Yes, hate is good. Because to fear the Lord is to hate evil. And if we don't hate child pornography, child molestation, child killing, if we don't hate certain injustices, sex trafficking, then there's something wrong with us. There's something wrong with us if we don't have hate against that type of evil. So right now, the phrase hate speech is the catch-all for left-wingers who do not like something that somebody who is a Christian says. So if I say to you that Islam was started by the sword, it catechizes by the sword, it keeps people in by the sword. If I say those words and I put them on Facebook right now, that is considered hate speech. My Facebook account was canceled, eliminated with thousands of followers because I put a link to our TV series, or rather our serial documentary called What Would Muhammad Do? Just obliterate it. They obliterated it. I didn't say anything that wasn't true. I didn't say anything disrespectful. I didn't say anything unkind. But their gatekeepers called it hate speech and took it down. Now herein lies the problem. If you say that homosexual acts are an abomination, that they are disordered, if you quote Romans chapter 1 and say that those who commit such deeds, they knowingly commit these deeds, that they're worthy of death, not only do them, but continue to do them and encourage others to do these acts of evil. If you quote these passages from the Bible, all right? Man shall not lay with a man as a man lies with a woman. It is an abomination. You're going to be canceled. If you say that the Democratic Party supports the murder of babies, that they are advocates of child killing, you stand a good chance of being canceled. Now, there's nothing untrue about any of those statements. So the problem we face right now is that public discourse, it used to be radio, television, newspapers. Newspapers were critical. You had letters to the editor, and editorial pages, generally speaking, as a sense of honor and duty, they would print editorials, letters to the editor written by people who disagreed with the paper's policy, but there was this sense of sacred honor that they would allow both sides to be discussed. And I've had, I don't even know how many guest opinions and letters to the editor printed where I went for the throat. If you look at my Q&A that I did with Time Magazine 20 plus years ago, they got more letters to the editor in response to that Q&A than any Q&A in the history of the magazine. So I've had controversial things printed. I did a Q&A with Playboy magazine, and they agreed that they would print exactly what I said, and that was my conditions beforehand. And that they would ask me, why would I even do this? That was the first question they had to ask. Why would I do this? So I know what it's like to be able to speak to my fellow Americans through a vehicle of the press, because there was a sense of honor, a sense of obligation. But with YouTube, Facebook, Google, they have lost that guiding star. It's gone, friends. I have people at Google who watch me in real time. Now, I don't know how many people it is, and I don't know how many people those gatekeepers watch. Maybe there's somebody sitting at their computer who has 100 different individuals, and when any one of them posts something, a bell goes off, a light goes off, a notification goes off, and then they go and see what it is. But I have had my material removed from Google's search engine in real time. I put something up, it shows up on websites around the country, and inside of 20 or 30 minutes, it disappears. Okay? That is the suppression of free speech. But they're a private company. The problem is that the things that they are calling hate speech are the things that will destroy this nation. They are literally protecting evil and assaulting good. So if I say child killing is murder, homosexual behavior is a horrifying sin against God, a mortal sin, if I say that Islam is a threat to freedom, those things are the truth with a capital T. Truth as revealed from heaven, moral absolutes, that kind of truth. But they will eliminate that speech, and they will suppress that speech and silence that speech. And saying those words is a part of what will save this republic. And if we don't stop our descent into the jaws of hell with the shedding of innocent blood, with abominable sexual behaviors, with the threat of Islam, if we don't deal with those things, then we won't survive as a republic, because there's a God in heaven. So the very speech that they are suppressing is the speech that would save America, and the speech that they're protecting is the speech and the ethics and the behaviors that will bring down the judgment of God upon our nation. That's the crisis that we're dealing with right now. And because so many people get their information from Google, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, etc., the role of TV and radio and newspapers has been greatly diminished. Greatly diminished. And therein lies the problem. These private companies, like a private newspaper, they don't have the sense of honor that newsrooms had across this country just one generation ago. I've got to take a break. When we come back, I'm going to show you a video about how much young people don't know about the First Amendment. Have Muslim terrorists hijacked the peaceful religion of Islam? Or is there more to the story? The answer lies in the life of one man, Muhammad, the founder of Islam. Muslim terrorists see themselves inside a 1,400-year-old story, a narrative that focuses on specific events in the life of Muhammad. We are going to look at Muhammad's life using their most sacred literature. We will look at Muhammad at the Battle of Badr. We'll see him deal with those who mock him. We'll see the times when he used deception. We'll witness Muhammad's anti-Semitism. And yes, we will discuss Muhammad and his teachings concerning sex, slavery, and jihad. Friend, if you want to understand Islamic terrorism, get this series today. I know that you're going to enjoy this. It is a series of interviews with people at Columbia University. I'm going to play it for you and then make a comment at the end.
I'm Calvin Phillips with Campus Reform. Today we're at Columbia University talking to young people about freedom of speech. Is the First Amendment still relevant today? And do people actually know what's in the First Amendment? Let's find out. In the First Amendment of the Constitution, there are 5 freedoms listed that are protected under the First Amendment. I've got $20 right here if you can name all 5.
No way I'm naming all 5.
Any come to mind, freedoms under the First Amendment?
Yo, I have no idea.
Can you name the 5 freedoms protected under the First Amendment?
No, I definitely can't. I don't know.
Nah, I can't.
Yeah, any?
I mean, we can guess. Under the First Amendment. Nah.
How long do I have?
Dude, you took comp law. You should be able to do this.
So freedom of speech, freedom of the press.
Yep. You're the constitutional lawyer here, man. You got this. Come on.
You gotta do it. Yeah, dude, he's a senior class in law school right now also. So, dude, no pressure. But
Freedom of press.
Free speech. Right to bear arms, is that a different amendment? I think that's a different amendment.
That's the Second Amendment.
Okay, yeah, there you go.
Now I feel like I need to go home and just read.
The right to a jury by your peers?
No.
Then I'm done.
Freedom of the press. Freedom of
I don't know. I'm sorry.
It involves what we're doing right now. All of us
Like
assembled.
I have...
Freedom of assembly?
Oh, freedom of assembly. Oh, like to do like protests and stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Freedom of the press, freedom of assembly, freedom of religion. It's a really good... I don't know.
Okay, so we got to 3. That's the most anyone's gotten.
Freedom of... No, man. I think that's
You're tied for the most so far. No one has been able to get more than 3.
freedom of speech, press, religion.
We're on a college campus. That's one of the main places people are discussing what ideas should and shouldn't be allowed. Where do you think the line is on when something should no longer be protected by the First Amendment?
I think the line starts drawing when you get offensive trying to in people's like culture, identity, and where they identify as.
I don't think that it's fair for people to use the First Amendment as kind of like, you know, an excuse to say whatever they want. That's very hurtful and malicious to others. So I
Isn't the Constitution the excuse though?
It really is. Now that you think, like now that I'm saying it out loud.
so I think the line should be if you're intolerant of other groups in a way that makes their opinion seem like less, that's defeating the whole purpose.
Who gets to decide what is intolerant though?
Who gets to decide? It's a pretty arbitrary line, but I think it's less arbitrary to say if you're deeming a group less equal.
The defining characteristic is respect and safety. So if someone's promoting an ideology that there needs to be a threshold at which...
Who gets to decide where that threshold is?
I mean, academic communities, basically.
If you start to like offend someone, you should stop talking.
Okay, but who gets to decide what the line is between too offensive and not offensive enough?
I feel like that's just something you kind of got to judge by yourself.
As long as like you're not like disrespecting anyone or making them like feel threatened or uncomfortable with their own like way of living or identifying themselves in society, I think that's...
Doesn't the Constitution protect my right, though, to make you feel uncomfortable with my words?
Up to a point. Like, it depends how uncomfortable you're saying, because the Constitution should also, like, assure, like, safety and...
I don't have the right to hurt people, so...
You do, though.
Yeah, I guess. This is all very tricky. Yeah, you do.
because obviously we know that the Constitution is, I consider it a living organism, so with time it should be evolving and stuff like that.
We're dealing with people who don't understand the First Amendment, and that's why they're willing to suppress it. These are the people that would say, yeah, get rid of Alex Jones. We don't want hate speech. They don't understand the First Amendment, and they don't understand that they are literally cutting the throat of American freedom. The reason that I will defend Alex Jones and I'll defend the ACLU, who I despise, is because a threat against free speech for some of us is ultimately a threat against free speech for all of us. I'll be right back. What Would Mohammed Do? Islamic Terrorism Explained is the best movie series documentary ever produced on the life of Muhammad and Islam. How do I know? Because it's what critics are saying. John Moore, radio host and author, said, I learned more from What Would Mohammed Do about Islam and Islamic terrorism than I've learned from everything I ever read and watched in my entire life. Friends, this is what the experts are saying. No one has ever done what we've done. I encourage you to get 1, 2, 4 copies. Call 304-289-3700 or order it at the address or the website that you see on the screen. Friend, we have a series that will help you and those you love to have an impact on this country. It's called Insurrecta Nex. That's Latin for revolution against the killing of innocent people. This is the history, the philosophy, and the theology of social revolution in America. We look at the Stamp Act, the Boston Tea Party, the abolition of slavery, the abolition of child labor, women's voting rights, the civil rights movement. All of them have this in common: courage, sacrifice, dedication, and in-your-face tactics and rhetoric. That's one of the reasons that we've been losing the culture wars the last 40 years, is because the bad guys are using these tactics and we aren't. We will send you this 14-part TV series along with these manuals for students, a teacher's facilitator guide for only $40. Go to 304-289-3700, 304-289-3700. Martin Niemöller was a German Lutheran pastor, an evangelical, who wrote a book called On Guilt and Hope. After World War II, he was a submarine captain in World War I, considered a war hero to the Germans, and was then ordained to the ministry and became a very devout leader and a very influential leader in Germany. And he survived the war. He had a confrontation with Hitler early on in Hitler's reign of terror, and he confronted Hitler and said, "It is not for you to determine what it is that we will say as pastors." Hitler had him arrested and imprisoned as his personal prisoner and likely forgot about him, which is why he was not killed at the end like Dietrich Bonhoeffer was killed. So when he got out of prison, he wrote a book, Guilt and Hope. And in the book, he said a quote that has become very famous, but it was a confession of sin. That's what you have to remember. He said, when they came for the communists, I didn't say anything because I wasn't a communist. When they came for the trade unionists, I didn't say anything because I wasn't a trade unionist. When they came for the gypsies, I didn't say anything because I wasn't a gypsy. When they came for the Jews, I didn't say anything, or we didn't say anything because I was a Christian. And they said when they came for us, there was no one left to speak up. The reason I'm talking about Alex Jones is because what they're doing to him is a threat to me. See, Martin Niemöller understood that his silence was a betrayal that ultimately cost him his freedom and almost cost him his life. So it was a confession of a sin, the sin of silence, the sin of not standing up for the people who were oppressed early on. So I urge you, by all that is true and good, to speak up, to complain, to do whatever you can. And I'll be honest with you, because these companies are so huge and they're so rich and they're so powerful, and because they are outside of government control, We are still trying to develop a strategy of how to deal with them. And maybe what the solution is going to be is for some people to pony up some money and to create a platform that won't take down the truth. God save us. Bye for now.